Welcome back. Today we're going to do some work on dividing decimals. I know that dividing, like long division, decimals, two words that strike fear in a lot of people's minds. Hopefully we can work through a couple strategies together that we can help you get past that fear and actually find that this is not as bad as you think. You can be very successful with division. Let's go ahead and get right to work then. All right, let's say that we have 31.773. So 31 and 773 thousandths divided by 5 and 1/10, 5.1. We want to figure out what the answer is to this. Well, before we do anything, what I strongly recommend you do is that you estimate your answer. And so I'm going to look at the divisor. The divisor in this problem is 5.1. I'm going to make that into the nearest whole number. So it's 5. And then I'm going to make the dividend into a number, 31 and 773 thousandths. I'm going to make that dividend into a number that's easily divided by 5. So I want to find a multiple of 5. And so the multiple that's closest to 5 is 30. So I didn't have to round it too much. If I do 30 divided by 5, I get an answer of 6. So I should know that when I divide 31 and 773 thousandths by 5 and 1/10, my answer should be very close to 6. Okay, and that will help you avoid making silly errors when you understand the concept otherwise. So you're going to put the dividend into your division box. And so we're going to go ahead and put down 31 and 773 thousandths inside here. And then our divisor is going to be 5.1, 5 and 1/10. Now, the one rule of thumb with dividing by decimals, you may not keep your divisor as a decimal. You have to change it to a whole number. So we're going to have to change the 5.1 into a whole number. And by doing that, all we have to do is move the decimal over one space to the right. If I move that number, the decimal, that one space to the right, I have to move the dividends decimal one space to the right. Whatever I do to one number, I have to do to the other. And I'm going to put the number or our decimal directly above it up here so we don't forget about it. And a big key with dividing long division, neatness. You want to be neat, put the numbers in their columns so you don't cross over, and then you know exactly what you're doing. So I'm going to begin. I'm going to say, well, can I divide 3 by 5.1? Can I divide 3 by 5.1? No, I can't. I'm going to put a 0 here just so I don't forget that I cannot divide at this point. How about 31? Can I divide 31 by 51? It's getting closer, but still, no, I cannot. So now I'm at 31 or 317. Can I divide that by 51? And the answer is yes, I certainly can. And so now, since we did our estimate, we did 30 divided by 5 is 6. We now know that the number I choose here has got to be close to 6. I could choose a 5, I could choose 6, I could choose 7, and I'm going to go ahead and just start with 6. It could be right, it could be wrong. We'll find out here shortly, but this is a very good starting point. That way you're not just randomly picking numbers. You're picking numbers that make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to do 6. So 6 times 1 is 6. And then 6 times 5 is 30. Oh, we picked the right number. So now I'm going to go ahead and subtract. So you first divide 317 by 51. Then I'm going to multiply. And then I'm going to subtract and then bring down. So I'm going to go ahead and do 7 divided by 6 is 1. Then 1 divided by, or 7 minus 6 is 1. Then 1 minus 0 is 1. And then 3 minus 3 is 0. I don't have to bring that down. Now I'm going to bring my 7 down. Okay, so can I divide 117 by 51? And yes, I can. Well, if I double 50, I get 100, so I should be able to double this and be fine. So I'm going to put a 2 here. And so I have 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to have 102. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that, and now I'm left with 15. And I'm going to bring my 3 down. I have 153. I'm going to say, can I divide 153 by 51? Yes. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do 3. Since 2 gave me 102, I think I can get one more in here. Let's make this a 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. I subtract. I have 0 remaining. That's when I know I'm done. And so I have an answer of 6.23. So my question is my 6.23 close to my original number of 6? You know what? They are. They're pretty darn close to each other. And therefore, I know my answer is at least reasonable. That's our first example. Hopefully that made some sense to you. Let's try another one. Make sure that you're getting it completely. Put this one over here. I think I'll have to write a little smaller this time. All right, so our next problem. Let's do 3.5778, or 3 and 5,778 ten-thousandths, divided by 0.89, or 89 hundredths. Now, the very first thing I want to do is I want to look at both numbers, and I'm gonna round them off to whole numbers to make it an estimate. Now, if my decimal was closer to 1/2, I could divide by a half. And when I divide by a half, all I'm doing is I'm doubling whatever I'm dividing by half. Like if I have 3 divided by a half, that's 3 times 2 is 6, because you can divide 3 into 6 equal halves. Think of it as pizza. But in this case, it's closer to 1, so I can go ahead and make this 0.89, the 89 hundredths. I can make this into a 1. I'm just going to round it like that. And then I'm going to make the 3.5. You know what? I could even make it a 3.5 if I want to be more accurate. Well, what's 3.5 divided by 1? Well, that's 3.5. So I know my answer's got to be close to 3.5. It's going to be very close to 3.5. Well, let's go ahead and we put our number. We're going to put our dividend inside the box here. So we're going to put the 3.5778. And then I'm going to bring my 0.89 over here. Now, watch what happens at this point. I'm going to have to move the decimal over for the divisor 2 spaces to make this into a whole number. So I'm going to go 1, 2. Therefore, I'm going to have to move this decimal over 2 spaces as well. 1, 2. And I'm going to bring the decimal straight up. And now I can begin my division process. So 89. Can I divide 3 by 89? No. So I'll put a 0 here. Can I divide 35 by 89? No, I cannot. So I'll put a 0 here. Can I divide 357 by 89? Yes, I can. So I know my answer is going to be close to 3.5, so I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and say, what about using 3? So I'll start off with a 3. I could have used a 4 or 2. I'll start with a 3, though. Again, this way I'm not guessing. I have a very good hypothetical guess, which is like a smart guess, an educated guess. So 3 times 9 is 27. So I put my 7 down here, carry my 2. 3 times 8 is 24, plus a 2 is 26. Okay, now I subtract. I think we have a problem here. 7 minus 7 is 0. 35 minus 26 is 9. I picked a number that was not going to work. So now, this is okay. This is just part of the process. I'm just going to undo what I've done here. And I'm going to say I needed a 4. So now I'll use a 4. It's perfectly normal to go through this process. So 4 times 9 is 36. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in my 3 here. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 3 is 35. Oh, so close. Well, I subtract 7 minus 6 is 1, and I'm going to bring my 7 down. Can I divide 17 by 89? No, I can't. This is where you got to be very careful. Since I can't, I've got to put my 0 here, and then and just so I don't make a mistake, I'm going to multiply 89 by 0, just so I don't forget this part. 0 times 9 is 0. 0 times 8 is 0. I subtract, I get 17. I just like to do this so I don't lose a step. I do the same routine for every problem. I bring my 8 down. I have 178. And it looks like it's about twice as big, so let's go ahead and try it out. 2. So 2 times 9 is 18. Carry my 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. I subtract, I get a 0. My answer is 402. In the grand scheme of things, is 4 and 200ths, I don't know if I said 402, is 4 and 200ths close to 3 and 5 tenths? Absolutely it is. So I know my answer is reasonable. Now the big thing is I want to make sure that I'm not getting a number like, I'm not saying that if my answer was 40.2 and my estimate was 3.5, I'd say I've got a major problem here. Um, but since they are relatively close, I know my answer has got to be relatively close. Now again, the idea behind having an estimate is that it will tell you if your answer is reasonable. It won't guarantee that you have the right answer, but what it will do is it will tell you, does my answer seem reasonable? And for most times, that will be good enough as far as serving its purpose of estimating, as it will catch you from making a silly error of where you put your decimal. All right, let's try one more example, and then we'll call it a day. For number 3, we're going to do 14 and 122 thousandths divided by 2 and 300ths. Okay, again, I want to estimate. So I'm going to make my 2.3 into a 2. And I'll just make my 14 and 122 thousandths into 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I know my answer has got to be close to 7. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my dividend in the box. I have 14 and 122 thousandths. And then I'm going to put my divisor over here, 2 and 3 tenths. And I can go ahead and begin my work. So I first need to make my decimal into my divisor into a whole number. So I'm going to move this over one place. I need to move my next decimal over one space as well. And I'm going to bring this straight up. And now I can divide, I can begin my division process. So 23, can I divide 1 by that? No, I can't. I'm going to put a 0. 14, can I divide that by 23? Nope, got to put a 0 there. Can I divide 141 by 23? Yes, I can. So at this time, I'm going to think, well, what do I want to use? Do I want to use a 7? Well, I'm going to go ahead and think a little bit on this. If I use a 7, 7 times 20 is 140. So 7 times 23 is going to be more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and take a shot and go a number lower and make it a 6. I could be wrong, but I think that I'm going to want to go with a 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry my 1. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. All right, I made the right decision. Time to subtract. I'm going to have to borrow from the 4, make this a 3, and make this into an 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. Bring down my 2. Okay, how many times does 23 go into 32? It goes in 1 time. So I'm going to do 1 times 23 is 23. I'll subtract. 32 minus 23 is 9. Carry down my last 2. Okay, 23. Well, 23 times 4, 20 times 4 is 80. 20 times 5 is 100, so it's got to be a 4. I'm going to put a 4 here. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I'm going to subtract. I get 0 left over. My answer is 6.14. Is that close to 7? Yes, it is. Again, if I had an answer of 614, I'm off. I made a mistake. If I had an answer of 61.4, I'm off. I made a mistake. Here, I can say, you know what? It came out with, evenly. It was terminating, and it's close to my estimate. I think I have the right answer, so therefore I think I'm good to go. So here's your lesson on dividing decimals. I hope this was helpful. Have a wonderful day.